So communication at work is our 5th lesson, and these are objectives for today. Communication should be clear, accurate, correct, professional, verbal, written, processed. Types include email, note, memo, letter, report, and text. Effective communication should be correct, it should not be misleading. Timing, it should be not too late. Ambiguous, clear. So I received an email requesting information with a deadline that was during the holidays. I'm on holiday now from work, my main job, which is as a school business manager. And they set a date which notified me before, just during the holidays, and giving a deadline during the holidays. But obviously I'm on holiday, so I haven't responded to it because obviously the timing of it was inappropriate. So when I get back to work, I'll deal with it. But the timing of information is obviously correct. It should also be correct. It should also be unambiguous and clear. Obviously, if it's not, then people will misinterpret the message. So anyway, let's carry on. Internal and external communication. So internal communication should be appropriate. Method could be email, text, oral, memo. Be polite. Take time. Easy use email signature. Promptness. Obviously, be on time, etc., etc. External, public, and customers. So examples of people, stakeholders that are external, public, and customers. Appropriate method, e.g. letter, email. It should have a professional approach. So normally when you send letters and memos and communication externally, normally you should have the company's logo, the address, return address, who you can contact at the company, who's it from. All of these need to be included in the external email. Internal emails, to some extent, should have this same information, but it's not very. You don't need to put the company logo and things. Sometimes, if you're just writing a quick note, present the professional approach, comply with the corporate image, letterhead, telephone manners, etc. Communication classes. So you could have verbal communication, e.g. meetings. And sometimes, obviously, the minutes are taken, which makes the verbal communication also written. Telephone and voicemail, oral, just a quick conversation, and that's what it's referring to as oral. Written communication, letter, memo, notes, reports, electronic, email, fax, and text. Obviously, nowadays, a lot more email and text are being used to communicate. So that is becoming a more important class of communication. Email. So in an email, make sure you keep you add a subject and keep it to the point. Sign the email. Try to keep the work email formal. CC sends a copy to the address entered. BCC will send a copy to the email address entered, but all other addresses that are in the fields cannot see each other. So basically, it hides other people's email addresses that are in the same message. Use hi, dear, or hello depending on the relationship. So normally when I send an email to colleagues, close colleagues, I'll write hi. If it's to all colleagues, then it's normally dear. Sometimes if you send it to all colleagues, you can also write hello. So yeah, it just depends on the message. If it's more formal message, then obviously dear. If it's more an informal message, then it's hello. Hello, let's go down the pub, everyone, on Friday, for example. That could be a more informal one. So this is an example of a message that I sent to my friend, so I attached a report with relevant information and the forms that need to be filled out. I've written a this is a more formal kind of email signature, kind regards, Soeb Alam. But I could have written Soeb, because he's my friend. So it could have been less formal, but I've chosen to write it formal. Sorry. Project is the subject of the email, so he knows what it's about. So yeah, so this is an email that I sent to my friend, and as you can see, it's quite friendly, to the point, which email should be. Okay, this is a memo. So memo has certain fields like to, from, date. So if you want to enclose documents, then it's important to write that on the front as well, because otherwise people might miss the documents. So, for example, if you put a graph on the back, and people might just read the message and not refer to the graph. Can be signed, but not always. Normally, people don't sign their memos, but yeah, you can. So, notes. So sometimes people write brief notes and send it to each other at work. So this is another form of communication. Like the head teacher, whenever I take messages for him, he always likes to get a return phone number for the person that contacted the school. So yeah, this is another. Yeah, it's important to obviously take the messages clearly, and so that the person receiving it knows exactly what to do with the message. Um, so letter. Letter is should obviously be a very formal method of communication. It's normally done with external people. You wouldn't send a letter to internal colleagues unless it's to do something with their pay or something like that, which needs to be quite formal. Because obviously it's a legal document, especially if it's to do with their salary and things like that. Anyway, let's carry on. So letter has a return address. It has the company logo. This inside address is obviously the address of the person, the recipient, and then you've got date, salutation, dear sir, madam, etc., etc. Body of the message is just what you write, and then obviously there's a yours sincerely or yours faithfully, depending on whether you know the person or not, at the bottom, and then your name and job title. So reports. Reports are structured normally, and they can be short or extended, formal or informal, routine, one-off, internal or external. So this is more of a formal report. So the kind of fields that you'd have in a formal report. So you'd have a title page, an executive summary, an introduction, the purpose of the report, task involved in performing the report, the timing. So these are all things that you'd have in a more formal report. Findings, main body, conclusions, the decision reached by the reasoning, recommendations, suggested course of action based on the actions, based on the report. Appendix has additional information, e.g. graphs and data and graphs. So another thing that I would add is that wherever possible, communication should be positive and shouldn't make the reader in any way upset or or even just in the slightest be negative. So wherever possible, you should try and keep your communication positive. That's something that I've learned from the head teacher that I've been currently working with, and he's always very kind of takes time to write a very positive message. And I think from my point of view, I've learned that that's a very good way of communicating, because people appreciate positivity. So anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next lesson.